What's up, guys? Steve here with Fish On. Please shoot me a thumbs up, share, and subscribe, and let's see where we're fishing today. Thanks for tuning in. What is up, guys? Steve here. I am not fishing anywhere today. I am at Casa de Fish On in my man cave in the basement, and I'm going to go over a nymph rig that I use a lot and give you guys some options. As a coach with my academy and my Adidas tennis camps, we coach under a kind of a field called ecological dynamics. It is a coaching philosophy that puts the student first and gives kids options and lets them be creative and explore and experiment and find ways that work for them. So that's the point of this video with the fly fishing nymph rig. It's not to be arrogant. It's to give you guys options and have you guys experiment and maybe spark a discussion and a cool thread and some comments. So let's get right into it. Let's say we're using a floating fly line. We have our perfection loop, and we got the loop to loop connection, obviously from the leader to the fly line. Just your standard 7.5 foot or 9 foot leader. And then we have our indicator. If we are nymph fishing, we have our indicator. And I have one of my favorites is the screw on indicator like this. There's a rubber washer in there that allows you to adjust to the thickness of the leader, the tapered leader. And this can slide up or down depending on your depth range. We always talk about how depth range is so important. Now, some of you guys might have, a Euro indicator or not use an indicator at all. The only other thing I use besides these typically is yarn. And I'm not endorsing any company here, obviously, but yarn is going to be less splashy and something that is a little bit more subtle when it hits the water. So I use yarn a lot, especially like Cheeseman Canyon. But I certainly can get away with this on the Poudre River or Lake Estes or somewhere else like that. Another really cool indicator option is the plumb bobber, a slip bobber. And this might be new to some of you guys. When we take the drift boat out in Wyoming on the pothole lakes, we might have our top fly 12 to 14 feet below the indicator. So follow me here. That's 5-pound trout that we're catching all the time. Literally 4 to 6 pound trout. And so that's going to be very difficult to net that fish with 12 to 14 feet of line between your indicator and your top fly. A slip bobber, when you set the hook, a slip bobber slips down to the top fly or the fish and allows you to net it. Very important when you're on flat water and you have a lot of line between your indicator and your top fly. Okay, so let's keep going. So we got that. Now, obviously an edible indicator is important. I can have a chubby or a grasshopper instead of this and give them something that they can eat. But of course, in the winter, they may not take a grasshopper and I might want an actual indicator. So don't forget your grasshoppers and chubbies and things like that can be edible indicators as well. So we go down our tapered leader and I come to my split shot. Here, your options are tungsten putty, tungsten mud. You could vary the positioning of the split shot on the leader. And then little tiny, right there is a tippet ring. Right there is a tippet ring. And these are pretty new to me. And the tippet ring is a leader saver. And because the tapered part of a leader is really designed for casting. I don't have to spend, $9 every time for a leader. That really adds up. In fact, when we fish in the lakes, we're using straight fluorocarbon right off a spool. So that's much more affordable than a tapered leader. So a tippet ring is a very strong part of the leader. And that allows me to save my leader and reuse it. And then I'm just adding this every single time. Huge money saver. So, and I can add a piece of this off the side, or I could even, instead of cutting the tag end, I could have a fly off to the side for maybe a more natural drift, some of you guys think. I don't like to do that. I like an inline rig, vertical inline rig, because I feel like I have a lot of line problems and there's too many things happening if I have a tag end off to the side. So I don't like to do that. Besides, if this weight goes down, my flies are probably gonna be drifting off to the side anyways. So I don't like to do a second line here in this tippet ring or a tag end, a long tag end, because I feel like I have more line problems. So here's my weight. I'm gonna go to my top fly. This is a Colorado Fly Angler Pandemic Special Mini Leech. Okay, now this is fun. This is my lead fly, my top fly. I tie my second fly from the eye, not the bend of the hook. If you tie from the bend of the hook, this guy's hanging like that. Not as natural as like that. So again, experiment, be creative, and explore. This is how I coach tennis. I let kids own their own swing. We say the shot's the goal, not the swing. You know, own your own swing. Don't let someone like me tell you. I want you guys to have options. So if I go off the bend of the hook, that's great. If that catches you fish, great. But here's something that I bet is new to a lot of you guys, especially like the slip bobber, is tie into the eye for that second fly. That's going to be floating along like this in the river or the lake. Okay, so now 18 to 24 inches to the next fly. You can't even see that because that's one of my winter flies that Chris sent me. And that's his light olive scarface, a very good small fly for Colorado. And again, if I had a third fly, instead of going from the bend of the hook, maybe I go from the eye, and this is maybe drifting a little bit more natural. But a lot of times I might go from the bend of the hook here on a tiny fly. It's hard to get a second line through the eye. So standard rig, right? 18 to 24 inches between your flies. And I could go to a 2 or 3 fly nymph rig. And again, this weight could be tungsten muddy, tungsten pud. I can add weight to this. I could have a second split shot. I could put the split shot on the bottom. I could put the split shot between the 2 flies. But this gets down there pretty good if I add weight from here with the flies drifting behind me kind of more naturally. And so that's just an option on a fly fishing nymph rig. And hopefully it gives you guys something to think about, something a little bit different. And I appreciate you guys watching. We will catch you on the next video.